You're listening to Soundside. I'm Libby Denkman. When you use dating apps, there's a lot of pressure to make an impression in the mere moments you have before somebody decides whether you're worth the effort. So as frustrating as it can be, we understand that there's a fair bit of truth-bending involved in finding love online, like pictures with really flattering angles or exaggerations of interests. Hiking? Oh my gosh, I love hiking, etc. Hey, all's fair in love and or exciting but sometimes brief and often regretted romance. But is it fair if someone is using AI to make the most basic of conversation? A growing number of daters report asking ChatGPT or one of a flurry of new AI dating assistant startups to craft questions and answers on dating apps. Was that witty repartee in your DMs generated by a bot? How much has dating been co-opted by digital wingmen? And what does it mean for the future of digital romance? Henry Chandonnet is here with more, I hope, answers to all of these very big questions. He's a reporter for Business Insider, and he's had hands-on experience with these AI wingmen. Henry, hello, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And I know for sure that neither one of us is an AI assistant. We are face-to-face on this Zoom call. So for now, we know the conversation is entirely human-generated. So you cite some data from the Kinsey Institute at Indiana University. They do this annual survey of 5,000 daters in partnership with Match. And they said this year, 26% of respondents said that they were using AI while dating. 33% of respondents said that using AI to generate an entire conversation was probably a deal breaker, though. So it sounds like people are keeping this under wraps, most likely. I mean, what do you know about how common this is?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, right? There's not an immediate there's not an immediate sign that somebody's using AI, so we can't say, oh, this person is AI modifying or AI generating their
What about the M
messages.
dashes, Henry? What about the M
The
dashes?
M dashes are a good sign. I was talking to somebody at Tinder and they were a little wary of AI generated messages and they said, oh, maybe we should just remove, have an M dash sensor or even like remove the paste function, which I thought was fun. Um, what I will say is that there's really different forms that it takes, right? I think that there's less common forms like generating a whole conversation. And then maybe more common forms, right? I talked to multiple people who said that they used AI to help create their bios. That is a thing that people don't like to do. It's hard to come up with like a witty one-liner to explain yourself. So maybe that's where ChatGPT comes in to help. There's different forms of it, and they can be more or less popular depending.
I've never been tempted to use ChatGPT in most cases, but if there was one place where it would be putting myself back on those dating apps, which I've been off for a little while, but putting myself back on those dating
Congrats.
apps and yeah, thank you. And having to write like a little biography or a little, blurb about myself, because that's a real writer's block situation. So
Mm.
I can feel sympathy for that. But what you're talking about here is there's this industry that's grown up that is targeting people like with pickup lines and to do like basic conversation, right? I mean, can you just kind of describe what is an AI dating assistant? What do they look like? How do they work?
Yeah, so the majority of them basically have you either copy in the messages that you receive or maybe take a screenshot of your entire chat and it will come up with the next line for you. There's the kind of immediate way of using that, which is literally just copying and pasting that in. What the founders also told me was pretty common is like using it as a first draft, right? Saying, oh, here's what the assistant thinks that I should say, but that doesn't really sound like me. I'm going to take the vibe of it and turn it into something that I would say. And there's also different forms, right? An app like Roast, which is pretty popular, will roast your dating app profile and is maybe a little bit more direct in it. Whereas you feed it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will probably be a little bit kinder and give you some feedback that's constructive, but also praise your ability to get out there. The goal is to help generate messages, but also to kind of spark some creativity.
And when somebody is on the other end of this, it's started to be called something called chat phishing. This was the first
Mm.
time, like prepping for this conversation was the first time I've heard of this term chat phishing. I mean, we've heard of catfishing before, but the basics of chat fishing is what, Henry? How does that work?
Yeah, chat phishing is maybe misrepresenting yourself using AI generated lines or conversation to get on a date, right? So there's if you go on TikTok, you can see a million videos like this of people saying, "Oh, I went on a date and this person didn't even sound at all like what they sounded like on Hinge. They were definitely using ChatGPT to write their lines." And it's iffy as to whether that is real, right? There's the basic level of that people edit their conversations just because somebody sounds like something different in person versus on an app does not mean that it's
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
some people are better in the written word. I mean, I've definitely experienced that
Absolutely.
before ChatGPT was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's a bigger question, right? Of like, how much do you want to separate your personality from who you present as online? And we all do it in some form, even if you're not on a dating app, maybe you do it in social media and you're a different person on Facebook or Instagram or X. But ChatGPT is certainly helping people do that, right? It is helping you write cleaner or more effective or maybe even different sounding lines, and then there's this feeling being on the other side of it, maybe of, oh, I didn't know that you were like this, or you misrepresented yourself. And you see that a lot across social media.
Yeah, especially if you've been cutting and pasting answers and not paying especially close attention, you're going to get outed pretty quickly of not like we talked about this on our chat. Like, don't you remember? So what do the dating apps themselves think about this? I mean, these are basically people using Tinder or Hinge or Grinder or whatever and turning to another app generally to write their answers. I mean, how do they feel about that?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I will say first of all that like the startup founders that I spoke to in the space, a bunch of them said that the dating apps had approached them with acquisition conversations. None of the bigger apps would confirm that, but there definitely was interest in some form, and you see that from the dating apps deploying some tools that kind of inch into this territory without fully doing it, right? On Hinge now, you get AI suggestions of how you would respond to a specific prompt. So somebody says like, I love reading. There's a little bar that will come up that's AI generated that says, ask them what their favorite book is.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so they're totally getting in on this game. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not that look, none of the dating apps yet will like literally write your conversations for you, but they want to get that first step of kind of using AI to spark creativity, to get you writing more quickly or to get you kind of swiping more quickly. And then there's apps like Grinder, which are really going kind of headfirst into the space, and they've been piloting a wingman tool for a while now. So it's kind of touch and go. There's not a specific leader in the space or someone who's really gone all in on these wingman tools, but they're definitely at least interested.
Isn't there a risk here, though, Henry, when it comes to these dating apps? I mean, for a long time, they had an issue with like ghost profiles and what was real and what was
Yep.
bots or things like that, or, even AI generated like images. But when it comes to people using AI agents to write their texts, isn't that like another level of slop and like a quality downward spiral that could also affect users' experiences and ultimately be a problem for them?
Yeah, it depends who you ask, right? I think that that's a pretty common sentiment. I think that people are wary of the idea that I matched with someone on Hinge and they're just gonna be like sending me artificial messages, and I wouldn't know until I meet them in person and say, "Oh, you sound a little different." Um, I think there's also a lot of people that feel like dating app conversations are already incredibly stilted, and that you may as well introduce AI to just make it easier, right? I talked to a Grinder user for one of these stories where is anybody who's been on Grinder, I can say myself included, knows a lot of these conversations start with just like, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Good. What are you up to? Like very, very basic conversation. And why not have AI do that, right?
Yeah.
We are not doing anything super creative or interesting with how we're speaking to each other. We are just using the kind of common conversation starters. So there's a like flip side to it. There's definitely the feeling of oh, my dating life is about to get increasingly artificial. I'm not going to know who I'm talking to. There's also the removal of friction that I think people are excited about.
At one point, is every dating app just going to be bots talking to each other, and then we're really just like malt book or whatever?
It is a sure possibility. I think that
And that's kind
especially when
of
you look at the bigger
romantic. You know
apps,
what? Those
I
bots finding
know.
each other.
I
It's
mean, the AI
great.
companion companies would love that, I'm sure. The bigger apps, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. They are wary of it as much as they're excited about AI. The When you bring up something like companions around an AI around a dating app, they are cautious, right? They still want to center human to human intimacy in their product because that's what gets people coming back. That's why you download Tinder. That's why you maybe even pay for a Tinder subscription. So I don't think that you're going to be swiping among bot profiles anytime soon, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a like bot dating app startup that sprung up in the next few years, right? The like up and comers in the smaller apps are really where you're gonna see this become big.
Henry Chandonnet, Business Insider, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. Don't forget you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 Seattle at noon and 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, or anytime right here online at KUOW.org, or of course on your favorite podcast app.